Saturday the 13th of June 2020. One of the things that I've talked about quite a lot, and I did a pretty extensive video on this in March, is the ETFs for the gold mining stocks, and in particular the GDXJ, which is the index for the junior gold miners. Well, the GDXJ is the ETF which tracks a junior gold mining index, and the reweighting of that index was announced overnight in the US. And I'm just going to go through in this video the couple of the additions and also what the reweightings of some of the stocks are already in the index. I know it's a topic that a few people have asked me about. Just a quick reminder that this video, I'm going to put this one as a free one on YouTube, but most of my content now I'm putting on Patreon, $6 US a month to sign up, and I putting at least one video up a week, generally two, mostly about specific stocks, but also some sort of educational topics and portfolio stuff as well. So if you're interested in more content, feel free to sign up to the channel. I try to reply to all the comments that I get as well. So yeah, happy to have anyone new on board. So I guess the main one that people are interested in is WAF, West African Resources, and I've talked about this quite a lot on Hot Copper as well. So overnight, that one was added as I thought it would be. You can see here. So got the two things here. On the left is the current weights as of the 11th of June, and these are going to be the new weights. So the weights, the reweighting will happen all at once next Friday. So on the 19th of June, the participants who act for the GDXJ will come into the market and reweight the GDXJ to try and match these figures from the index. So they'll try and get it to this percentage of the total fund size. So reminder, this is for the index on the right, but these are the actual dollar values that the ETF holds, which tries to match the index. And if you're interested in this topic, you can have a look at the video I posted in March, where I went through it in some detail about how this works. So I've done a few little calcs there as well. So the other one that was added was Alkane Resources, which I haven't been a holder of Alkane, and I'm a little bit skeptical of their project in New South Wales, their new drilling prospect. But I should have probably seen that one coming. They are a gold miner. I often think of them as a rare earth company because that's what they used to be. But the index methodology is based on revenue, so you can have if your revenue is substantially from precious metals, you can be classified as a gold miner or a silver miner. So Alkane was added as well, and so these are the weights in the index. So you can see there that West African Resources is 0.46% of the index. I thought that was about what I thought it would be. I thought it would be in that sort of 0.4% range. Obviously, these numbers fluctuate based on the share prices. So the way I understand it is the weightings were calculated last Friday. So on the 5th of June, they calculate the weightings and the additions and the deletions, and then on the 12th of June they announce the additions and deletions and the weightings, which is this spreadsheet here, which is free, by the way, on the MVIS website. So this is pretty easy to get. If you have to sign up, I think, but it's free. So if you work out what this is, so the total value of the ETF, the GDXJ ETF, is about $4.8 billion US. It's a little bit higher than that in this, but it's around that figure, within to the nearest 100 million. And if you look at 0.46% of the fund is $22 million US, which works out to about 32 million if you use a 69-cent exchange rate. So it'll be thereabouts. Again, I'm not entirely sure what exchange rate they use, but I think they take it from the day they do the weighting. So it's about 69 cents. So I calculate that's probably going to be about 35 million shares, give or take, probably 500,000 there, but those figures are usually pretty bang on. So what will happen is that the authorized participants will come into the market next Friday to buy that many shares. Now, I guess the thing that everyone wants to know is, does this move the share price? And this is always a bit hard to know. Typically what I've seen is that the stocks that are going to be added to the index, or going to be added to the ETF, we'll see a bit of a bounce the following trading day. So next Monday, there'll be a little bit of a bounce in WAF stock potentially. This is all just guesswork, but I mean, these things get more and more well telegraphed. So I was following these announcements 4 or 5 years ago when there wasn't as much sort of knowledge on the topic, and it was all still a little bit behind the scenes. But I think more and more it's become obvious to a lot of market participants, the ETF. So the effects have probably slightly died down compared to what they used to do, but I think it's still probably likely to be positive. I mean, WAF stock has rallied very strongly, obviously, in the last 6 weeks. Probably I'd say amongst the best performing gold stocks on the ASX. So maybe in this period here, I mean, what theoretically happens is that they have to buy those 35 million shares on Friday, but that doesn't mean that there's not action happening behind the scenes in the last week or two or more of people positioning for that rebalance. I mean, there was always a risk that that WAF wouldn't be added to the index. It's a little bit of a while it's generally pretty well understood what the methodology of the index is, which is why I've been able to kind of predict that it was going to happen. There's still a little bit of dark art there sometimes on how the index provider has a little bit of discretion on how they measure it. So maybe if WAF wasn't going to be added, people wouldn't have been trying to run that announcement. I mean, when I say people, I mean large institutional buyers who are going to be in those 10 millions of shares who might be positioning for this event. So it's a bit hard to know what's going to happen. But typically stocks that are added into the index will outperform in the week following. Usually, I find that these index additions tend to be short-term tops in the share price. I don't think that's the case here, just because the way WAF has still got some catalysts in terms of production announcements that they should be going to commercial production in the next few weeks. Maybe they try and get that announcement out this week. I mean, I think that would be a kind of a perfect storm event if the gold price can trend higher this week and they can come out with a commercial production announcement and get the traders involved as well in terms of trying to position for this index rebalance. But it's hard to know what it's going to end up doing to the share price. And I note Alkane has also run strongly, and a little bit, I think they probably run strongly despite not necessarily having that good a news. So maybe that suggests that there's been a bit of word out there that Alkane was probably likely to be added to the index too, and traders were trying to front run that announcement. So maybe that suggests that there's not going to be a significant upside from here, just because everyone is aware of what's going on and with these index additions. So that's probably all you can really say about it. I'm happy that it's been added. I mean, you do see a bit more volatility in the share price from stocks that have been added, that are part of the index, because just there's kind of a lot of automated trading, and the outflows and that come into the outflows that come out of the ETF in weak gold market periods can be significant. And I mean, but I think that in this bull market in gold stocks, which I think we're in, ETFs are going to be extremely important, because a lot of generalist money uses ETFs as the way to play sectors now, and this is a major, I think, something that's happened since the last gold bull market in 2012, say it ending. ETFs are now a huge part of the market, and it's the preferred way for generalist investors to play the sector. So as that money starts to come in, I expect they buy the GDXJ and the GDX, and that means that the stocks that are in this index are going to get bought in higher proportions than others that aren't. So I think you want your stock to be in the index, and I think that's going to be a positive going forward. So that's probably all you can say about those two, West African Resources and Alkane. Good to see them being added. I've highlighted some of the other ASX stocks here. I just saw another one there actually. I'll look at, you got Saracen there as well. So you can see the weights on the left are what the previous weights were in the index. So Evolution Mining, I've got what's happened to their weighting. So Evolution Mining is down weight, and I've put it as a plus because I think it's a reasonably large percentage of the index. They've lost 0.7% of the index, so you could see a decent outflow of Evolution shares on Friday as well. I don't know what that number is going to be, but it's probably going to be, off the top of my head, I'd say that's probably going to be close to $30 million worth of shares. Trying to sort of work on the fly here. Yeah, I'd say 30 to 40 million. Northern Star's probably a pretty similar weight. The other thing that I mentioned in the video in March is there's a $5 billion US cap on stocks that are being included. Now this figure, this is where I'm saying there's a little bit of grey area around stocks that are going to be deleted from the GDXJ. So last quarter they said that Northern Star was going to be deleted because it was too large for the index, and that was when it was probably about the same market cap, maybe a little bit higher. But then they backtrack on that decision a few days later. So Northern Star's shares tanked on the Monday following the announcement. They said it was going to be deleted, and then 3 days later they said no, it's not going to be deleted. Partly that was due to market volatility in that mid-March period. But again, Northern Star is still $5 billion US over that figure. So, but they haven't deleted it. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. And you can see Pan American Silver also above 5 million US, and Kinross too. So I'm not sure why they're still in the index. I think this junior gold miner index is a little bit of a joke in terms of some of the companies that are involved. I mean, Northern Star is a 1.2 million ounce producer now. They're in the top, probably top 15 gold miners in the world now. They shouldn't be in a junior gold mining index, but this is pretty typical of ETFs across market sectors. They like to have stocks that are larger in there, so they've got liquidity, but these are not junior gold mining companies. So Evolution being downweighted a little bit more. Saracen looks like a little bit of a downweight as well, just minor. I think what did it say there, 2.84 to 2.7, so not a huge effect. Regis the same, pretty small downweight there. A lot of these downweightings I think are probably to do with currency effects. The Australian dollar's rallied a little bit here. I'm not sure if that's causing most of the down weights, or maybe the Australian stocks have underperformed slightly versus their US peers. It's always a little bit hard to know. These down weights are purely in percentage terms, by the way, not necessarily in number of shares, but in general it should translate across. St. Barbara, slight down weight again, but again, it's you're talking 0.06% of the index. So you're probably talking maybe $5 million worth of shares or something in that order. It's a pretty small amount for some of these mid caps in the ASX. So it might be a flow of 1 or 2 million. One of the measures of this is this. People sometimes talk about average daily volume, or ADV. So that's the way you calculate what the volatility of the share price following an addition or a deletion or a rebalance. As you look at the ADV, how many average days of volume is coming out of the stock is going to be moved to accommodate this rebalance. So if you look at WAF, 35 million shares, you're probably talking about an ADV of probably 8 days worth of shares that have to be traded there. It does trade quite a lot of shares at the moment, so it depends on what your period is, but on a 6-month average, I'd say it probably trades 3 to 5 million shares. So it's about an ADV of 8 million share, 8 days of volume that has to flow through. The rest are down weights as well. Gold Road, there's a slight upweight there, basically just a 0.01%, so nothing really, almost neutral. Most of these are really a neutral sort of setting. Down weight for Ramelius again, but only slightly. Perseus was one that I saw had probably one of the larger changes in weight here. 0.86% and now going to be 0.7%. So that'll be a decent flow. That might be probably 7 or 8 million US dollars. So maybe $12 million Australian. So you might see a 10 to 15 million shares of Perseus being changing hands as well. So maybe that has a slight effect. I mean, it trades. It's probably about 2 days of average volume. It trades pretty. It's a pretty liquid stock. Others, Resolute, I think was pretty similar. Just trying to see it on my list here. Yeah, again, minor in the fractions of a percent array, and then there's kind of your small ones. The other thing is if you drop below 150 million US market cap, no, sorry, it's 75. It's to get added into the index. It's 150 million US dollar market cap, but to get deleted, you have to be below 75 million US dollars. So what you find is that companies that struggle to get, once they get in, it's harder to get kicked out almost than to stay in, because you can see there this Gold Standard Ventures 110 million market cap, and it's still in the index. So to get in, you have to be 150 million, but you can drop below 150 million once you're in the index. So that's a minor thing, but so Dacian Gold's not in danger of being kicked out, despite the fact that it's flirting with that 150 million US market cap. I noticed it had been slightly upweighted from the weighting at the moment, so 0.08%. It's probably pretty minimal. It might be a reasonable flow for Dacian though. Actually, you're probably talking about 5 million US dollars ish. So it's a decent amount of shares that'll have to be bought in Dacian because of a fairly low share price, I guess. So it's probably might be 15 million shares of Dacian. I'm working off figures in my head here, so don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty confident that these figures to within the nearest kind of 500,000 is what will be added to the GDXJ for the additions WAF and Alkane. So that's probably all I can really talk about. I'm happy to see WAF's finally been added. The other index is the GDX, and the GDX is for your gold miners over 750 million US market cap. I'm not sure if any, so that information I don't have on the GDX editions. I think it's not available for free on the website of the index provider like the GDXJ index. So I think, not sure if there are any ASX stocks that are flirting with GDX edition. The only one might be Westgold. I think it's close to the 750 million US dollar market cap, but it might be just under these figures here. I'm not sure if this float market cap corresponds across. I thought Westgold was close to $1 billion $1 billion Australian dollars. So, but I think it's not going to get added to the GDX, is my feeling. But all the rest of them up from Resolute up, all these stocks are already in the GDX. So there's not many ASX stocks that are likely to be moving into the GDX anytime soon, other than Westgold, if it can get a run on. But they're a bit of a turkey stock and not a company I'm a big fan of, but their share price seems to hold up fairly well. So that's all you can really say about it. I know this topic's it's kind of been done to death now, but a few people asked me, so I thought I'd put this video up, and hopefully that explained it pretty well. And you can see the trading action on Friday afternoon in Australia of what happens to these stocks based on this rebalance. And I'll try and put up another video tomorrow where I'll just talk in general about some of the movements in the ASX gold stocks and what I think's kind of happening in the market at the moment in general. Thanks very much.